My husband came home from a trip, heard I spent the weekend comforting his daughter, and asked, "Do you think you can be a proper mother figure for once in your life?" When I finally opened up and said I loved her like my own, he blocked the fridge and said, "Wouldn't want you to be careless with that too." I just stared at him. That was 3 weeks ago. This morning, he sat in her room, holding a crayon drawing and didn't speak for over an hour. If he wants to complain about my efforts, she can stay with someone else. I've never been a person who wanted children in the first place. I found out I couldn't have kids when I was really young because of a health issue, and I accepted it a long time ago without much trouble. I have been married to my husband for 3 years now and absolutely adore his daughter. She's a literal ray of sunshine and joy, and he has been honest with me from day one that his daughter will always be his first priority, something that I actually admired about him. I also understood that he will never be able to leave her with her mother because she has a drinking problem that can lead to violence. However, recently he started being very judgmental of everything me and his daughter do together. His daughter is now 7 years old, and a few months ago fell during practice and fractured her arm. He was very worried about her, and I was too, but he has always been very protective of her. When I told him that he should relax, she'll be alright, and that he can't control every aspect of her life as a way to comfort him, he told me that he'll never be someone like my father, something that really hurt me, but I let it slide. After this incident, he started throwing comments here and there about how I'm being careless with her, how I'm not fit to be around her, or how I sometimes act so childish with her. A few days ago, I was going to pick her up from school, but I was 15 minutes late due to a holdup at work while he was out on a business trip. I felt that she was upset about waiting this long because she never had to wait this long before, but she didn't complain, I just felt it. She was not as upbeat as she usually was, so I decided to cancel my plans for the weekend and spend some time with her, with the promise that all studies would be done on Sunday, which almost always was the usual case. We had what she called girls only day till dad comes home, went shopping, ate out, had a Disney marathon, and spent some time by the backyard pool. That was over the course of 2 days till my husband came back home. I told him what we did over the few days he was away, which I have of course mentioned over the phone when we talked, or his daughter mentioned when he called her. However, his reaction was not what I expected one bit. His first words to me were, "Do you think you can be a proper mother figure for once in your life?" A sentence that till now still bothers me and echoes in my head. We had a big argument which ended with me saying that if he doesn't see me as a proper mother figure to his daughter, he should send her to live with her real mother. I still feel bad about saying this, and I know that it would upset me to no end if he actually separated her from me, because I have honestly grown very attached to her. However, still, I do not know if there is something I am not seeing, or if there is something I fail to understand. Maybe I do not have the instinct to mother a child, or I do not see it as big of a responsibility as it should be. I just do not understand. The silence that followed my words was deafening. Jay stood in the doorway, his suitcase still in hand, staring at me like I'd just slapped him across the face. Emma's laughter drifted in from the backyard where she was still playing by the pool, completely unaware of the storm brewing inside. I watched his knuckles turn white as he gripped the suitcase handle tighter. He set it down slowly, deliberately, like he was trying to control every movement. The vein in his temple pulsed visibly as he walked past me into the kitchen without another word. I followed him, my hands shaking slightly as I gripped the counter. He opened the refrigerator, pulled out a water bottle, and drank half of it in one long gulp. When he finally turned to face me, his eyes were cold in a way I'd never seen before. "You think this is a joke?" His voice was low, controlled, but I could hear the anger simmering beneath. "You think taking care of my daughter is something you can just play at when it's convenient?" I felt my own anger rising to match his. Play at? I canceled my entire weekend to spend time with her because she seemed upset. How is that playing? He slammed the water bottle on the counter, making me jump. "You were late picking her up. 15 minutes she sat there waiting, wondering where you were." "I was at work. I called the school to let them know I'd be a few minutes late. She was perfectly safe in the office with the staff." "That's not the point." He ran his hands through his hair, pacing now. "You don't get it. You've never gotten it. Being a parent means being reliable, being there, not just when it's fun or when you feel like it." The accusation stung more than I wanted to admit. I thought about all the school pickups I'd done, the homework sessions, the bedtime stories when he was working late. I've been there for her every single day for 3 years. Have you? He stopped pacing to face me directly. "Or have you just been going through the motions? Playing house?" Emma's voice called from outside, asking if she could have a juice box. I moved automatically to get one from the fridge, but Jay blocked my path. "I'll get it," he said curtly. "Wouldn't want you to be careless with that too." I stepped back, feeling like I'd been punched. He grabbed the juice box and headed outside. Through the window, I watched him kneel beside Emma, checking her over like she might have sustained some terrible injury in the 2 days he'd been gone. She showed him her new bracelet from our shopping trip, and I saw his jaw tighten. When he came back inside, he was carrying Emma's new clothes and toys from our shopping spree. He set them on the counter with exaggerated care. "Buying her affection now?" he asked, not looking at me. "It was a few outfits and a stuffed animal. She needed new school clothes anyway. She has plenty of clothes." "Jay, what is this really about?" I demanded, my voice cracking slightly. "Ever since her arm healed, you've been finding fault with everything I do. I can't breathe around her without you criticizing me." He whirled around to face me. "You want to know what this is about? It's about the fact that you told me to relax when my daughter broke her arm, like it was nothing, like she was nothing. That's not what I meant, and you know it. I was trying to comfort you. You were spiraling, blaming yourself for something that was just an accident. Accidents happen when people aren't paying attention," he shot back. "When they're careless. When they think they know better than the person who's been protecting that little girl since the day she was born." I felt tears pricking at my eyes but refused to let them fall. "I have never been careless with Emma. Never." "Really?" He pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. "What about the time you let her stay up until 10 p.m. on a school night watching movies? Or when you gave her ice cream for breakfast because she asked nicely? Or when you took her to the park without sunscreen?" The movie night was a special occasion for her good report card, which you agreed to. The ice cream was on a Saturday, and it was yogurt with fruit, and I forgot the sunscreen once, realized it within 5 minutes, and we went straight home to get it. "Excuses," he muttered, shoving his phone back in his pocket. Emma appeared in the doorway, still in her swimsuit with a towel wrapped around her shoulders. "Daddy, come see the picture I drew of our weekend." Jay's entire demeanor shifted instantly. His face softened, and he smiled at her. "Of course, sweetheart. Go Go get changed first, and then you can show me. She scampered off, and the mask dropped immediately. He turned back to me, and the coldness returned. This is exactly what I mean, he said. You let her swim without changing for hours. She could catch a cold. It's 85 degrees outside, Jay. She's been in and out of the pool all day, drying off in between. You don't know what could happen. You don't think about consequences. I stared at him, really looking at him for the first time in months. The dark circles under his eyes, the way his shoulders never fully relaxed anymore, the constant checking of his phone when Emma wasn't in sight. This wasn't about me at all. What did she do to you? I asked quietly. He froze. What are you talking about? Your ex. What did she do that makes you think everyone is going to hurt Emma? His face went pale, then flushed red. Don't you dare bring her into this. This has nothing to do with her. Doesn't it? You've been acting like I'm going to suddenly become negligent or dangerous. Like I'm going to wake up one day and decide to hurt the little girl I love like my own daughter. You don't know what you're talking about, he said through gritted teeth. Then explain it to me. Help me understand why the woman who's been raising your daughter for 3 years is suddenly unfit in your eyes. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Emma's footsteps echoed down the hallway, and we both automatically stepped apart, trying to compose ourselves. She bounced into the kitchen wearing her favorite pajamas, the ones with unicorns that I'd bought her last Christmas. In her hands was a piece of paper covered in colorful crayon drawings. Look, she exclaimed, holding it up for both of us to see. I drew our weekend. There's me and Sarah at the store, and here we are eating pizza, and this is us watching Frozen, and here's the pool. My heart clenched at the pure joy in her artwork. Stick figures of us holding hands, big smiles on our faces, hearts floating around us. At the bottom, in her careful 7-year-old handwriting, she'd written, "The best weekend ever." Jay took the picture, his hands trembling slightly. It's beautiful, baby. Why don't you go put it on the fridge? She grabbed magnets and carefully positioned her masterpiece in the center of the refrigerator door. Then she turned and hugged Jay tightly. I missed you, Daddy, but Sarah made it super fun. She said we could do it again next time you go away. I saw Jay's jaw clench at her words. Emma didn't notice, already moving to hug me too. Thank you for the best weekend, she whispered in my ear, and I had to blink back tears. You're welcome, sweetheart. Why don't you go brush your teeth and pick out a bedtime story? I'll be there in a minute. She skipped off, humming the Frozen soundtrack. The moment she was out of earshot, Jay turned on me again. You see, you're making promises you can't keep. Setting expectations. What expectations? That I'll spend time with her when you're away? That's what I'm supposed to do. No, he said firmly. What you're supposed to do is follow the routine. Keep her safe, not turn everything into a party. She's 7 years old. She's allowed to have fun. Fun? He laughed bitterly. You think this is about fun? Her mother thought everything should be fun too. Right up until she forgot to pick her up from daycare because she was having too much fun at a bar. The words hung in the air between us. Finally, a crack in the wall he'd built. I'm not her, I said softly. I know that, he snapped, but his voice lacked conviction. Do you? Because you've been treating me like I'm one drink away from abandoning Emma at school. He flinched at my words. That's not— I don't— Sarah? Emma's voice called from her room. I picked 3 stories. 3? Jay called back, his voice automatically shifting to playful dad mode. That's too many, silly girl. Please, Daddy, please? Her giggles echoed down the hall. We'll see, he said, then looked at me. I'll put her to bed tonight. We always do it together when you're home, I reminded him. Not tonight. The dismissal was clear. I nodded, not trusting my voice, and headed to our bedroom. I could hear him in Emma's room, his voice gentle as he negotiated down to 2 stories. Her delighted laughter made my chest ache. I sat on our bed, still in the clothes I'd worn to the pool, chlorine scenting the air around me. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend asking how the weekend went. I stared at it, not knowing how to answer. How could I explain that I'd spent 2 perfect days with Emma, only to have her father come home and act like I'd committed some terrible crime? How could I describe the way he looked at me now, like I was a threat instead of his partner? I heard him reading, his voice carrying down the hall. Emma interrupted frequently with questions and comments, and he answered each one patiently. This was the Jay I'd fallen in love with, the devoted father who would move mountains for his daughter. But somewhere along the way, that devotion had twisted into something else. Fear, control, an inability to trust anyone, including me. My phone rang, and I quickly silenced it. My sister's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, not ready to talk to anyone about what was happening. How could I explain that my marriage was falling apart over a weekend of Disney movies and shopping? Jay's footsteps approached, and I quickly changed into my own pajamas. He entered the bedroom, closing the door behind him with exaggerated quiet. She's asleep, he said unnecessarily. Good. We moved around each other like strangers, getting ready for bed in silence. When we finally lay down, the space between us felt like an ocean. I know you love her, he said suddenly in the darkness. I turned to face his back. Then why are you treating me like I don't? Because love isn't enough, he said, his voice thick with something I couldn't identify. Her mother loved her too. Said it all the time. Didn't stop her from leaving Emma in a hot car while she ran into the liquor store. Didn't stop her from passing out while Emma was in the bath. Love doesn't mean anything without responsibility. The pieces were falling into place now. How old was Emma when these things happened? 4. She was 4. His voice cracked slightly. She could have died multiple times because someone who claimed to love her couldn't be bothered to pay attention. I reached out tentatively, placing my hand on his shoulder. He didn't pull away, but he didn't turn toward me either. I'm sorry that happened, I said. I'm sorry Emma went through that, and I'm sorry you had to deal with it. But Jay, I'm not her. I've never neglected Emma. I never would. You were late, he said, and I heard the fear beneath the accusation. By 15 minutes, with the school fully aware and Emma safely supervised. That's not the same thing. He was quiet for so long I thought he'd fallen asleep. Then, I can't go through it again. I can't get another call saying something happened to her because someone wasn't paying attention. You won't, I promised. Jay, look at me. He slowly rolled over, and in the dim light from the hallway, I could see tears on his face. This strong, protective man was crying, and it broke my heart. I need you to hear me, I said. I would die before I let anything happen to Emma. She's not just your daughter anymore. She's mine too. Maybe not biologically, but in every way that matters. And I need you to trust me with her, or this isn't going to work. He closed his eyes. I want to. God, I want to. But every time something small happens, all I can think about is what could go wrong. What almost went wrong before. Then we need help, I said. Professional help. Because you can't live like this, and neither can Emma and I. His eyes snapped open. You think I'm crazy? I think you're traumatized. traumatized, I corrected. And I think you're so scared of Emma getting hurt that you're pushing away the people who love her most. He was quiet again, processing. Finally, he said, she was so happy this weekend. I could hear it in her voice when we talked on the phone. She was, I agreed, and she can be that happy all the time if you let her. If you let us. I don't know how, he admitted, and it was the most honest thing he'd said in months. Then we figure it out together, with help. But Jay, you have to stop treating me like the enemy. I'm on your side. I'm on Emma's side. We're supposed to be a team. He reached out, taking my hand. I'm sorry about what I said earlier. You are a good mother figure to her, better than I had any right to hope for. The apology helped, but I knew it wasn't enough. One sorry wouldn't undo months of criticism and mistrust. I need you to show me, I said. Not just say it. I need you to actually trust me with her. He squeezed my hand. I'll try. I'll look into therapy. For me, maybe for us. Okay, I said, squeezing back. That's a start. We lay there in the dark, hands clasped between us. It wasn't fixed, not by a long shot, but it was a beginning. He asked after a while, she really drew a picture of your weekend? She did, with hearts and everything. I'm glad, he said, and sounded like he meant it. I'm glad she has you. I wanted to believe him, wanted to believe that this was the turning point we needed, but I knew it would take more than one conversation to undo the damage that had been building. Tomorrow, I would research therapists. Tomorrow, I would have to figure out how to help my husband heal from wounds I hadn't even known existed. Tomorrow, we would have to start the hard work of rebuilding trust. But tonight, I held his hand and hoped it would be enough. The next morning arrived too quickly. I woke to find Jay already gone from bed, the sheets on his side cold. Through the bedroom door, I could hear him in the kitchen with Emma, their morning routine proceeding as if last night's conversation had never happened. I pulled on my robe,